the name of our topic, the state and its characteristic features. Our questions. And of course, first question about notion, yeah? Notion and main features of the state. Notion and main features of the state. Or if you want, you can write definition, yeah? And main features of the state. Then, second question, it's a very interesting question. I don't know if you know something. The justification of the state. Justification. Don't you know the translation of this word? No? Yes. Not now. Not now. Okay. It was interesting logical chain. Yeah, but okay, what is justification? If you will translate to Ukrainian language, сутність. Okay. The justification of the state. Maybe you didn't discuss this question before, yeah, but we'll discuss, and I think it will be interesting. And third question, the peculiarities of a modern nation state. Peculiarities of a modern nation state. And again, I'm not sure that you heard something about nation state at your lecture in Ukrainian language. What we'll speak? I think again it will be interesting. So, a few words about the term state. Of course, the term state often refers broadly to ancient and modern countries. Yeah, but the modern state bears a number of characteristics that weren't peculiar to ancient and, for example, medieval time, yeah, or medieval countries. At first, could be traced in Western Europe since the 16th century. Yeah, so I think maybe you know who was the first who said about this term, state. No? No? Okay, I'll say the term state originates from the medieval word state. State, from Latin. Yeah? State. And it meant regal chair, regal chair upon which a monarch would sit. Yeah, state. You understand me? Perfect. And the term state was introduced in political discourse by Italian thinker. Yeah. And I'm sure that you know this name. Niccolo Machiavelli. Niccolo Machiavelli. In 16th century. 16th century. Niccolo Machiavelli. So, then, Pablo is here. Perfect. Within a federal system, the term state also refers to its political units. Yeah, maybe you know this because you remember United States. Yeah, and of course we can use this term here. Yeah, but the meaning of this term as just some territories. Yeah, some territories of the United States. And they are not sovereign themselves. Yes, but subject to the authority of the federal union. Yeah, So it's like a subject of federal union. And for example, it can be not only United States, yeah, like the union of the states, but for example, the states and territories of Australia. Yeah, here we can use this word too. Then, in casual usage, the term country, nation, and state are often used as synonymous. Yeah, I think that you used these terms, yeah, and didn't think, what is this? Yeah, but in a more strict usage, they are distinguished as following. So, country, what is this? Is the geographical area, yeah? And then nation, what is this? Of course, designates a people. You're absolutely right. And then state designates the set of governing institutions. Yeah, governing institutions with sovereignty over a definite territory. Yeah, so state, it's something with such feature like sovereignty. Yeah, and I think it's very, very important moment. And of course, you should know that this is the one of the main feature of the state, sovereignty. Yeah, we'll speak about this feature a bit later. And now I want to highlight that this state is a political and geopolitical entity. Yeah, political and geopolitical entity. And the nation is a cultural or ethnic entity. Culture, cultural and ethnic entity. Yeah. And do you feel this difference?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So this state is considered the central concept in the study of politics. Of course, we should say about this moment because in jurisprudence we have this term, this definition. Yeah, I mean state, but from the other side, this is the central concept in the study of politics. Yeah, I think you know such subject, such discipline like politology. Yeah, but its legal definition is the subject of intensive debate. Yeah, scholars usually favor a broad definition that draws attention to the different sides of the state. Some of them outline the rule of force apparatus. Yeah, maybe you remember some definition of the state, and of course, one of the main features. Yeah, some scientists think about this. Yeah, or think like this, that the state should have some force apparatus. Yeah, and the example of such definition is the following. I opened the Oxford Advanced Learner's Dictionary of Modern English. And here we can see such definition. I'm quoting. A state is an organized political community with its apparatus of government and territory in which it exists. Now, do you want to write this definition or okay, if you want, because you will have the text, you will have the lecture like you want. Yeah, it's just definition, and now you just hear this definition. Yeah, perfect. But I like that you write something because it will be better for your knowledge. Yeah, it's very good. But it was the definition from the Oxford Advanced Dictionary. Yeah. And then here we should say that the legal criteria for statehood are not obvious. Why? Often the laws are surpassed by political circumstances. However, one of the documents often quoted on the matter is the Montevideo Convention on Rights and Duties of States. Don't you know something about this Montevideo Convention? Don't you hear about this convention? Now you hear. Yeah, that is why. Again, I think I should repeat this name, yeah? Montevideo Convention on the right and duties of states. And the year of this convention, 1933. 1933, yeah? So it was in the beginning of the 20th century, yeah? So, and the first article of the convention states, the state definition, yeah? The next definition of the state, the state as a person of international law should possess the following qualification: permanent population, a defined territory, government, and capacity to enter into relations with the other states. Yeah, not so long, and I think absolutely understanding. Yeah, four elements, and this feature distinguishes states from non-sovereign and non-independent units like colonies, for example, and protectorates, which don't handle their foreign affairs. Yeah. So here you heard now the main definition in the international law, yeah, about state, or even from international law about state. And again, it's Montevideo Convention. So then, another, I think, interesting fact that Montevideo Convention was recognized by international organization as an accurate statement of customary international law. Yeah? And the convention codified existing legal norms and its principles, and therefore doesn't apply merely to the signatories, but to all subjects of international law as a whole. Yeah. Furthermore, this convention has some Article 11. Yeah, Article 11 of the convention prohibits using military force to gain recognition of sovereignty. Yeah, and now it is fundamental part of international law through Article 2, paragraph 4 of the Charter of the United Nations. Yeah, okay. I think it was interesting information in our situation. Yeah, in a situation with Ukraine. And of course, the European Union also follows the Montevideo Convention in its definition of the state. Yeah, and you know that we are trying to be in the European Union, and of course, I think in our future, we will use this definition, yeah, and we will recognize this definition of the state. But I think you know this definition, it's absolutely understandable. And of course, we used such definition before, yeah, or such understanding of the state before to. It's not something new for us. Yeah. Then let's try to mark out features of the state. Yeah. Features of the state. And I think you can say something already. Yeah, of course. Yes, territory, nation, power. I'll speak about language. I'll speak. And it's not so little number, but it's not old. Okay, we will speak. Yeah, I will speak about the features. You didn't say about some laws. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So first feature, state territory. State territory. And what is this? It is a definite part of the surface of the earth. Yeah. The state normally exercises jurisdiction over persons or things to the exclusion of another state. Yeah. Then it is historically connected with a definite nation, this territory. Yeah, of course, should be in some historical connection with definite nation. Yeah. And you're absolutely right, because the definition of the nation, yeah, is a bit difficult for our understanding, because I'll say about these problems with this understanding of the nation a bit later. Now I should say that we should highlight this moment that state and nation should be in some historical connection. Yeah. Then it has the scopes that are recognized by international community. Then the state territory is a space where the state authority is exercised. The state territory includes, maybe you know, yes, yeah, land. Don't forget. Yeah, then inland waters. Yeah, not just waters, inland waters. Then airspace, you said, maritime space, yeah. Then the interior of the earth under the state territory, yeah, under the state territory. And moreover, it includes some specific units. It's territory of embassies. Yeah, yeah, territory of embassies, then ships, yeah, and airplanes, yeah, under the national flag. Under the national flag. Okay, you remember what is this? This territory from the from such position, yeah, from such approach, and the territory of the embassy is a part of the host country, but under the authority of the country of the embassy. Yeah. Okay, it was the first feature, and next feature you said about this feature, nation. Yeah, nation. Nation. What is this? Of course, this is a large body of people. Yeah, a large body of people associated with a particular territory, that is sufficiently conscious of its unity to seek or possess a government peculiarly. And the criterion of the nation is membership in a political community. Yeah. And the name of this membership in some political community is citizenship. Yeah, citizenship. You know this word. And who is the citizen?
People who have legal relationship with countries.
Yes, you're absolutely right. With the state, yeah, not country in this, yeah, in this situation with the state. So it's a member of a political community who enjoys the rights and assumes the duties of membership. Yeah, perfect. You know this. And this characteristic is connected with the principle of territoriality. Principle of territoriality. We said that we have some problems with understanding, yeah, between this connection between, I mean, territory and nation, yeah, but we can use the principle of territoriality. And for example, we can speak about some examples about primitive state and about modern community. If you will speak about the members of primitive states, primitive society, I think it will be better to say primitive society, and members of primitive society defined themselves by blood relationship. Yeah? In other words, by birth within a certain clan. Yeah, what is clan? Clan is a group of people who come from common ancestor. Yeah. And if you will speak about the modern countries, members of modern community are to be defined by the principle of territoriality. Yeah, here we can use this principle. Their membership derives from their residence within state borders. Yeah, I think it's a good criteria, yeah, for some definition about types of the nation. For example, if you ask a stranger, who are you? Yeah, as a rule, will answer, I'm Dutch, yeah, or I'm Ukrainian, I'm German, yeah, and etc. So we can use this principle of territoriality, and later we'll speak about nations again. It's not the all information for today. So next feature, I don't remember if you said about this feature, political authority. Yeah, political authority. Political authority. And what is this? Political authority is the capacity to maintain public order and secure the obedience of people. Yeah. And political authority act issuing commands which are backed by sanctions. Yeah, of course, we should highlight here that that political authority should use such sanctions. Yeah, such sanctions. And of course, it is important to distinguish political power and political authority. Yeah, political power and political authority. I think you know this difference between, of course, at your lectures in Ukrainian language, you discussed this difference, yeah? Yes or no? political power and political authority. Don't you remember something? No? No, okay. But now we'll speak about this difference between political power and political authority. So the political power is an ability to compel subjects to act in a desired way, neglecting their desires. Yeah, and political power acts using not only legal means, but also force. Yeah, also force, oppression, intimidation, even. Yeah, this is the political power. It's a characteristic of political power, and here we can do something with this. Yeah, it's a fact. Then, in other words, political authority, not political power, yeah, is legitimate rule. Legitimate rule, yeah, but political power may be not legitimate. Did you understand me? Yeah. Okay. And here we should speak about some bases of legitimate political authority. Of course, here, like a feature of the state, we should speak about political authority, not political power. Yeah, political authority. And there are three basis types of legitimate political authority. And legitimate political authority is justified coercion, yeah, justified coercion. You know what is this, yeah, or not? Coercion. No, coercion. Justified coercion. Okay, legitimate. You can check it. Legitimate political authority as the capacity to impose duties. Yeah, capacity to impose duties, and legitimate political authority as the right to rule. Right to rule. Don't you know this word? No. I mean justified coercion. Okay, in Russian, принуждение. In Ukrainian, primus. Yeah, but justified. Yeah, justified. Okay, perfect. So coercion, capacity to impose duties, and the right to rule. Yeah, three basic characteristic of the legitimate authority. Perfect. And political authority is organized in a state apparatus. State apparatus. And I'm sure that this term, you discussed this term, yeah, the state apparatus. What should we say here? That the political authority is organized in a state apparatus, the formal and material means by which the state exercise its power. Yeah, some means, formal and material means by which the state exercises its power. So maybe you remember what is the parts of this state apparatus? The state apparatus includes, among others, the repressive state structures. Yeah, not only repressive, but repressive too. And here we can speak about the police. Yeah, Then some security service, some armed forces, yeah, prisons, jails, and etc. Of course. And of course, the main characteristic of political power and at the same time, an important characteristic of the state as a whole is sovereignty. Yeah, sovereignty. And I remember that you said this feature firstly. Yeah, sovereignty. And of course, it's very, very important feature because now I think we feel, yeah, this importance of our sovereignty. So, what is this? Sovereignty is the supreme authority within a state territory. Yeah, supreme authority within a state territory. And the sovereignty is the main government and states characteristic. I mean, this is the characteristic, not only state, yeah, not only state authority, yeah, or public authority, but the characteristic of some government, yeah, governmental characteristic. So the sovereignty is the exclusive right to exercise supreme political authority. I mean legislative authority, judicial authority, executive, yeah, authority. I think you remember this three parts of the power in the state, yeah, legislative, executive, and judicial. And we'll speak about this parts, and we'll have the lecture about the power and theory of the power of the state, of course. So it may be noted the uniqueness associated with this state's independence. And here we should speak about the power exclusively to control its own domestic dealings. Yeah, what is this sovereignty? What is the sovereignty? Why we want to have this sovereignty so much? Yeah, because sovereignty can give us and our state the power, yeah, exclusively to control its own domestic dealings, yeah, then the power to admit and expel alliance, yeah, then the constitutional rights of its diplomatic envoys in other countries, and the sole authority over crimes authentic within its own land. Okay, I think you'll read something about sovereignty more, but I think this is the main ideas of the sovereignty, the main features of the sovereignty, yeah? And I'm sure that you remember that sovereignty can be internal and external. Yeah, internal and external. So sovereignty has internal and external aspects. And what is this? Yeah, what is this? Internal and external aspects of the sovereignty. Outside authority may not interfere with the sovereign's governance. It's an internal aspect. Yeah, internal aspect of sovereignty. And I should say here that such a concept was first instituted since the Peace of Westphalia, yeah, in 1648. You said about this year, and I didn't hear. This year, you're absolutely right, of course. Peace of Westphalia, which finished all European 30 years war. Yeah, 30 years war. And after that event, any interference in other states' governing prerogatives became legitimate. Yeah. I think it's very, very important moment. Yeah, and in our situation, I think you won't have such sovereignty both, yeah, internal and external. And then the concept of sovereignty in the international law most often means external sovereignty. Yeah, in the sphere of international law. Yeah, I think we are using the term external sovereignty, and maybe we don't think about this external or internal, yeah, but it's external often. The external sovereignty is a state's freedom from outside influence upon its basis prerogatives. And by modern international law, a state's sovereignty is not conditional upon the diplomatic recognition by other states. However, the capacity of a state to enter into international relations and treaties is conditional upon such recognition. So, of course, sovereignty and some recognition of the state in the sphere of international law are very important things. Yeah, recognition and sovereignty. Because yes, of course, we can say, oh, we have some sovereignty, and of course, we can be some subjects of international relations. But yeah, we have other states in the sphere of international relation, and some state can say, oh, but your sovereignty is not recognition. Yeah. And that is why we will not have some relations with you. Yeah. And we don't have any relations, yeah, with such a state. So then the external sovereignty depends on recognition by outsiders, other states, and international community. Yeah. And here I want to say something about an assemblage of state. Assemblage. The right pronunciation, the assemblage of state. What is this? I think you know, yeah? What is the assemblage of state? And here, of course, the right example of the assemblage of state is what? United Nations, yeah? United Nations. So, an assemblage of state, both internally and externally sovereign, makes up an international system. Their sovereign entities ally, trade, make war, and make peace. Yeah. And nowadays, the globalization, the mobility of people and capital, and the rise of many international institutions restrict the state's sovereignty. And here I should say that currently more than 200 states constitutes the international community. Do you remember the number of the states in the United Nations? 193. Yeah, it's okay. So the vast majority of modern states are represented in the United Nations. Yeah, and maybe earlier we didn't hear so many information about the United Nations, yeah, and development of United Nations, or some questions, yeah, of the United Nations. But now I think we follow, yeah, of some decisions of the United Nations, and of course it's I don't want to say the interesting, yeah, for us, maybe even important, yeah, some decisions of the United Nations. And I'd like to say something about the sovereignty, like not only not in the broad sense of this term, but I want to say that sovereignty has its substantive limits. Yeah, substantive limits. What do I mean? The sovereign authority is exercised within state borders and extend upon all the inhabitants of the state territory. And such a characteristic of the sovereignty is called territorial sovereignty. Territorial sovereignty. Okay, yeah. And I think you know, and I'm sure that you know, that sovereignty can be absolute or non-absolute. Yeah, again, some types of sovereignty. And what is the difference? And what is this absolute and non-absolute sovereignty? Here I should say that many European countries and European Union members, yeah, states are sovereign in governing defense and foreign affairs, but they are not sovereign in governing their currencies, for example, yeah, trade policies. Do you agree with me or not? Yeah, and many social welfare policies, yeah, they are not sovereign, yeah, in these questions, and they administer these areas in cooperation with European Union authorities according to European Union. That is why here, of course, we can speak about such non-absolute sovereignty. What do you think about this non-absolute sovereignty? If you will go to the European Union, yeah, will have we such type of sovereignty or not? Yes, yes, and will it be good for us or not? What do you think?
Or something special for us as a tourist, it will be okay.
It will be okay. Okay, why not? Because yes, sometimes we cannot decide such question, yeah, some questions, and that is why not? European Union is a good organization. Yeah. And so, but I know some opposite ideas. Yeah. And of course, this opposite idea about our going, yeah, or our way to European Union was very bright before war. Yeah. And now I think it will be not so bright. Yeah. So, next feature of the state. Next feature of the state. And next feature of the state, law or a system of legal regulation. Do you remember that you forgot, yeah, about this feature, but it's very important feature because it's some system of enforceable rules governing social relations. And legislated by the state. So law is the most economical and effective method of social governing. And you forgot about another feature, and I think it's a very important feature too. It's state treasure. State treasure. How can I forget about the state treasure? So, of course, it's system of collection, concentration, storage, and distribution of financial assets. Financial assets. And here we can speak about contribution, taxes, yeah, dues and fees, and many other duties. So funds are needed for solving the common problems. For example, defense, public buildings, and so on. And also for maintenance of state mechanism, yeah, of state machine. Okay, so we discussed some main features of the state. Yeah, and here again I want to say that it was on the main features of the state, because of course you can find another features of the state, and you have to take into account that only a modern state resides such a complex of characteristics. A bit later we'll speak about a modern state if we will have some time. And for example, ancient and medieval states had only separate features of the state from this list. Yeah. And it would have no strict borders, no taxing system, no law instituted by the state apparatus. So now I think you know the difference between ancient, medieval, and modern state. And of course, now you remember some main features of the state. Maybe you have some questions. No. Perfect. So we can turn to the second question. Yeah. Our second question. And our second question, the justification of the state. Justification of the state. And again, here I should say that justification of the state is a term that refers to the source of legitimate authority for the state or government. And typically, justification of the state explains why the state should exist. Yeah, justification. Why this state should exist? What do you think about this moment? We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. But I think you know, but you just cannot explain now why. But I think you know, because of course in our life we should have some apparatus, yeah, some instruments. For what? For regulation. Yeah, of course, for our for regulation of our society. Yeah, because we will not have, if we will not have such instrument, it will be what? Some chaos. Chaos. Yeah, in English. So, and what a legitimate state must or mustn't be able to do. Yeah. This is the justification of the state too. And the domestic term is the essence of the state. Yeah, essence of the state. If you remember, we translated this term at the beginning of our lecture, yeah, and said that this is some like essence of the state. This is the similar term, justification, yeah, of the state. So there is no single universally accepted justification of the state. Yeah, most political ideologies and thinkers have their own vision of what constitutes a legitimate state. And now I'll say about some ideas of the essence of the state or justification of the state. And the first idea, transcendent sovereignty. Transcendent sovereignty. I'll explain what is this. Transcendent sovereignty. What is this? In feudal Europe, the most widespread justification of the state was the divine rights of king. Yeah, divine rights of king. And the people from that time, yeah, I mean the time from the feudal Europe, said, okay, we have some kings, yeah, and of course some rights of these kings from God, yeah, that is why we have state. Yeah, it's okay. So the state was considered as an apparatus that put the monarch's will into practice. Yeah, and the state's lands were personal possessions of the monarch. And the divine right theory often was combined with the primogeniture. Primogeniture. Do you know this word? Like першородство. Primogeniture. And the primogeniture is the right of the firstborn son of the king. Primogeniture. And that combination became a theory of hereditary monarchy. Yeah, in the nation states of the early modern period. Some type of the justification of the state. Yeah. Next idea, more modern, but not modern in a whole sense, because I want to say about the 18th century and period with the name Enlightenment. Yeah, Enlightenment. How can we translate this word? Просвітництво. You're absolutely right. And the idea of the justification of the state, the social contract. Social contract. I think you've heard this idea because you know some theories of the origin of the state and law. Yeah, and of course, the social contract is very understandable idea of the justification of the state. So, in the period of the 18th century, usually called the Enlightenment, the new justification of this state was developed. And for example, such scientists like Jean-Jacques Rousseau, yeah, said about this social contract. I should say that it was not only Jean-Jacques Rousseau, it was Montesquieu and some other thinkers. But Jean-Jacques Rousseau's social contract theory argues that states draw their power from the governed. And it was people, yeah, from people. No person should have absolute power, and a legitimate state is one which meets the needs and wishes of its citizens. And this theory eventually eliminated the belief in the divine right of kings, yeah, and formed the basis for modern democracy, yeah, social contract. Because now we can use some ideas from this theory with the name the social contract. Perfect. And a third idea or the justification of the state with the name public goods. Public goods. Can you translate? Суспільні блага. You are absolutely right. Again, and what is this? Public goods. Yeah. The term public goods designated social needs in solving common problems. Yeah. Modern political thinkers typically legitimate the state with two major ideas. First idea, redistribution, yeah, redistribution. And the next idea, the provision of public goods. The provision of public goods. And the arguments are following. What should we say here? A market system allows individuals to create and allocate most of goods optimally. But there exists a class of public goods that are not produced sufficiently in a market system. They are the goods that all individuals want, but the production of these goods is often not individually rational and profitable for people. And for example, road building, yeah, railways, military installations, and etc. And the state can mobilize and force people to contribute toward the production of these goods, and people can benefit of it. Yeah, that is why we have such idea of justification of the state. Do you like some ideas of the justification of the state or not? What is the best for you?
Not really. So, the
Pavlov.
so, for example, in the US,
Mm-hmm.
railroads were paved or built by the people, not the state. Very often times, state had no business in building
Mhm.
railroads
Yeah, it can be
in
private.
the United
You're
States.
absolutely right. But
And it shows that oftentimes state is is not that necessary. It
mhm,
is definitely necessary in protecting protecting the borders and so on and so forth
mhm.
against military against wars. But other than that, people can handle it just well by themselves. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, Pavlo. We heard, yeah, we all heard this idea. But now we just said about some theories, yeah, of the justification of the state. Of course, this is the not only this, yeah, idea we can use for the justification of the state. Of course, we can have another ideas, and that is why we will go to the next question. Yeah. So let me turn to next question, and our next question about, remember, nation state. Yeah. Do you remember that I promised to say something about nation state and some peculiarities of a modern nation state? I think it will be interesting material. And since the 16th century, states have been organized on a national basis. And the national state, however, is not synonymous with nation. Yeah, we said about this moment at the beginning of our lecture, and there is no society, yeah, which is a complete correspondence between state and nation. Yeah. Hence, the active role is often taken by the state to promote nationalism through emphasis on shared symbols and national identity. For example, there were only 25% French-speaking people in France at the end of the 18th century. Didn't you know this? I think you didn't know, but French nation was no more than a project at that time. Yeah, therefore, French statesmen elaborated a number of actions for a purpose to unite people. And French became a national language. Yeah, common for all the state laws were adopted, and the national holiday, the Day of Republic, was introduced. Yeah, and of course now I think you are thinking, yeah, about Ukraine and our situation with our language, and I think we have better, yeah, better situation with the percent of Ukrainian speaking people. Yeah. Okay. Then I should say here that political science uses the term nation state. Yeah, nation state, and of course we'll use this term nation state for most existing sovereign states, even though some of them deviate from this ideal model. Yeah, so the citizens of nation state share a common language, yeah, culture, and values. Common language, culture, and language. And the national identity may be imposed from above the national unity may be largely fictional, but the model is still effective and in describing the specific characteristics of the nation state. Yeah. Then I should say that no nation states exactly correspond to this model. Yeah, I said about this moment many times. But for example, do you know such a state with the name Iceland? Yeah, of course, you know. And Iceland is often seen as approaching it. Yeah, why? Also, the inhabitants are ethnically related to other Scandinavian groups. The national culture and language are found only in Iceland. Yeah. And there are no cross-border minorities. The nearest land is too far away. Yeah. And another example, in Japan. Yeah. Japan. Japan is also traditionally seen as a good example of nation state, although it includes ethnically distinct minorities, of course, but not coincidentally, yeah, both Iceland and Japan are insular nations. Insular. Do you know this word? Insular. Островни. Yeah, Островни. That is why here, yes, we can speak about some approaching, yeah, to this ideal nation state. And
Israel.
What? Pavlov?
Israel as well.
Israel as well. Yeah, yes. I'll speak about another example a bit later, but you're right. You're right. Again, and another moment, yeah, the ideal nation state is inhabited by one ethnic group, yeah, who speaks one language, has one culture, and shares one religion. Yeah, and the population, in other words, is homogeneous. Yeah, homogeneous. In many existing states, that is far from the case. Nevertheless, for the purpose of history, political science, and international law, most of them are considered a nation state. And again, for example, Switzerland. Yeah, Switzerland is constitutionally a confederation of cantons and has 4 official languages. 4, yeah, official language, but it is also a Swiss national identity. Yeah. Okay, and the national unity and identity may be disputed by autonomist movements, but unless a nation state is approaching disintegration, the usage is no treat it as a nation state. And similarly, for example, the Republic of Ireland. Yeah, Ireland. The Republic of Ireland was until recently inhabited almost entirely by ethnic Irish. Yeah, but the national territory is not considered complete by nationalists because it doesn't include Northern Ireland. I think we can speak about many examples, and I think you can read, yeah, these ideas a bit later, because of course I'll send to you the text of the lecture, and it will be easier to prepare for our future seminars. But now I want to say about some features of the modern state, exclusively. Yeah? modern state has some special features, and the rule of law, yeah, then ensuring human rights, democracy, I think you know what is this, secularity, yeah, secularity. In here, I think you can think about some moments in our country, yeah, and international recognition. International recognition. I think we discussed many interesting questions today. Yeah. And if you don't have any questions, no questions. We'll do a little break. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.